when it comes to connecting with a man on a deep emotional level, the kind that makes him think about you long after the conversation ends. It's not about having the perfect one-liner or some clever trick. It's about tapping into something much more powerful, the way you communicate emotionally, not logically. And this is where so many people go wrong. Because we think, if I can just explain myself clearly, if I can just tell him what I want or what I like, he'll understand and respond. But understanding isn't the goal here. Feeling is. What makes someone unforgettable is how you make them feel in your presence. Not what you say. Not what you look like. It's the energy you give off when you speak. It's the confidence, the softness, the subtle teasing, the curiosity you express without overdoing it. The words you use are just vehicles. What he really remembers is the feeling behind them. Most women are used to overcompensating in conversations. Trying to sound interesting, trying to seem impressive, trying to keep up or match energy. But what makes you chaseable, what makes him lean in, is when you don't try so hard. You don't need to prove anything. You're not rushing to fill silence. You're not delivering a resume of reasons to like you. You're just being in that moment. And that presence is magnetic. Let's take an example. Imagine you're sitting across from someone and you say, "I had a really long day at work today." That's a fact, right? But now imagine you say it with a little smile, a softness in your voice. And you add, "It was one of those days where I could have really used a strong pair of arms around me at the end of it." That completely changes the energy. You're not just sharing a fact. You're evoking a feeling. You're inviting him into your emotional world in a way that's subtle but powerful. It creates a moment. And in that moment, he starts to feel something for you. Now, here's where this becomes really important. Men respond to how you frame your emotional experiences. If you speak from a place of neediness, frustration, or trying to get something out of him, he'll feel that, and it's a turn off. But if you speak from a place of self-possession, of "I know my worth, and I'm simply inviting you to share this with me," that's alluring. Let's say he does something sweet. Maybe he texts you good morning. You could respond with a generic, "Thanks, you too." Or you could say, "I love how you take the time to do that. It actually made me smile." One of those responses is emotionally flat. The other creates connection. Why? Because it shows how it made you feel. That's what draws someone in. That's what makes him want to do it again. Because now he's not just texting you. He's having an impact. He's affecting you. And that is the hook. You don't have to force these moments. It's not about scripting every word you say. It's about learning to speak from the place inside you that isn't afraid to feel something and share it. That's what feminine communication is. It's not weak, it's not passive, it's strong, vulnerable, and emotionally intelligent. It says, "I'm not afraid to let you see me." And here's the thing, when you stop trying to get someone to chase you, and instead you focus on communicating in a way that evokes emotion, they chase you naturally. You stop trying to control the outcome. You stop asking yourself, "Am I saying the right thing?" And instead ask, "Am I being real? Am I connecting emotionally?" That shift changes everything. There's one simple phrase I love that brings this all together, and it's just 3 words: that made me. Try it out sometime. That made me laugh. That made me feel really close to you. That made me think of something I haven't thought about in years. It's such an easy way to bring emotion into a conversation without overthinking it. And when you do, He doesn't just hear your words, he feels you. That's where the chase begins. Because at the end of the day, the people we chase, the people we can't get out of our minds, are the ones who move us emotionally. They make us feel seen, inspired, curious. They bring us out of our heads and into our hearts. And when you learn how to speak in a way that brings a man into that space, you become unforgettable. Say less, mean more. Let him feel you. That's the magic. Now, let's talk about the one thing you can say that creates an emotional spark instantly. It's not a cheesy pickup line or some manipulative script. It's a specific way of speaking that combines two powerful things: bioappreciation and vision. When you use these two together, it becomes almost irresistible, because what you're doing is making someone feel valued in the present, while pulling them into a future that includes you. Most of the time, people either express appreciation in a generic way, or they talk about what they want in the future without any emotional pull. But when you connect both, when you let a man know what you see in him, and also plant the seed of something meaningful that A could be, you trigger his imagination. And that's the first step in getting him to chase you. Let me show you how subtle but powerful this is. Imagine you're on a date with a guy. You're having a great time. He's making you laugh. He's present. He's showing up as a confident, grounded man. Now, most people would just say something like, "You're really funny," or "I'm having a good time." That's fine, but it doesn't leave a lasting impact. It's surface level. Now, instead, you say something like, "I love the way you make me laugh. There's something about your energy that makes me feel like we could have so much fun together on a road trip, or just getting lost somewhere new." That right there, that's the moment. That's the line that sticks in his mind. Because you're not just complimenting him, you're painting a picture of the two of you together in an experience he now wants to create with you. This is powerful for two reasons. First, you're giving him a feeling of success. You're letting him know that something he's doing is working, and men love to feel like they're winning with you. Second, you're inviting him into your world. Not just the world you live in now, but the one you're imagining, the one that excites you. You're saying, "Hey, there's space for you in my life, and here's what it could look like." That's not pressure. That's inspiration. Let's go deeper with this. Say you're talking to a guy who's being thoughtful. Maybe he remembered a little detail you mentioned last time you spoke. You could say, "That's sweet, thanks." Sure, that's safe. But if you want to create a moment that moves him, you say, "That kind of thoughtfulness is rare. I can already tell. Being with someone like you would feel so calm and secure, like I wouldn't have to be the strong one all the time." Now suddenly, it's not about a compliment anymore. It's about meaning. It's about what that trait represents to you. And even more than that, it's about how being with him would make you feel. This works because people don't chase things that are logical. They chase feelings. They chase the way something makes them feel. When you say something that combines appreciation with a small glimpse of a shared future, you make him feel emotionally significant. That's the core of all attraction. Emotional significance. When someone starts to believe that who they are matters to you, that they have an effect on you, that's when the chase begins. And I want to be clear here, this isn't about fantasizing out loud or projecting some fairy tale onto a guy you barely know. This only works when it's grounded in reality. When you actually observe something in him that you genuinely appreciate, And you express it in a way that hints at how that quality would enhance your life together. It's just one sentence, but it plants the seed. It makes him start to imagine being that man for you. And once he starts imagining it, he'll want to become it. That's what real emotional influence looks like. Not manipulation, not games. Just authentic, emotionally intelligent communication. The kind that opens a window into your mind, your heart, your desires, without demanding anything. And because it's not demanding, it's disarming. It invites rather than pressures. It inspires rather than controls. And you don't have to say this every time you talk. You don't need to lay it on thick or do it artificially. One or two of these moments, placed genuinely and effortlessly in a conversation, can change the entire dynamic. He'll start to see you differently. He'll think about you when you're not around. Because suddenly, you're not just someone he likes, you're someone he wants a future with, even if he doesn't fully realize why. Appreciation shows him he's already enough. Vision shows him what more could be. When you put those two together, you don't just create chemistry, you create momentum. That's how you speak to the part of him that wants to chase something real. There's something deeply wired into men, and honestly, into all of us, that wants to feel needed. Not in a desperate, complete me kind of way, but in a way that says, I make a difference in your life. That's what activates a man's protective, devoted side. The part of him that wants to step up for someone, that wants to be seen as valuable, strong, capable. And when you learn how to speak in a way that taps into that, without ever sacrificing your independence or pretending to be someone you're not, that's when you unlock something incredibly powerful. His desire to commit, to invest, to chase. People talk about playing hard to get, like it's the answer, but I'm telling you, it's not about being hard to get, it's about being hard to replace. And part of that comes from the way you make a man feel about himself when he's around you. If you can make him feel that being with you brings out the best in him, without trying to fix him or flatter him, he'll keep coming back, because you're connecting to his deeper instinct, the desire to be a hero in someone's life. Now let me be clear, this doesn't mean you need saving. You're already strong. You can take care of yourself. But when you allow a man to feel that he adds to your life, that he enhances what's already there, that's when he feels like he has a role. And roles are important. We chase roles we feel proud of. We run from roles that make us feel inadequate or unimportant or replaceable. So how do you do that with your words? It starts with recognizing the things he does right. The little things that show effort, presence, intention. When a man makes a gesture, solves a problem, remembers something you said, or even just asks a meaningful question, instead of just acknowledging it with a quick thanks, you go a step further. You give that moment weight. You say something like, I love how grounded you are. It makes me feel really safe around you, Bice. Or, that actually made my whole day easier. You have no idea how much I appreciate that. When you do this, you're not just complimenting him. You're letting him know you matter. What you do affects me. I see it, and I feel it. And what's powerful about this is that it doesn't take away from your strength. It adds to your value. Because a high-value woman doesn't need a man, but she can still make room for one. And she knows how to make him feel like that room isn't just empty space, it's an invitation. Now, a lot of people worry that expressing appreciation or showing softness makes them vulnerable. And yes, it does. But vulnerability isn't weakness. It's a kind of strength that says, I'm confident enough to show you the effect you have on me, and I'm secure enough to do that without giving away my power. That's what draws a man in. Not a farce aid of indifference, but real, grounded presence. Here's a simple phrase you can use that shifts everything. I feel really safe when I'm with you. That one line, it's not dramatic, it's not needy, it's just real. And it taps into something primal in a man. Because what it's really saying is, you're doing something right. You're showing up in a way that makes me relax. That creates an emotional reward for him, and we repeat what we feel rewarded for. So now, without even realizing it, he starts associating your presence with his own sense of significance. Or maybe he helps you with something. He carries something heavy, gives advice, or even just holds the door. Instead of brushing it off, you say, I love that you did that without even thinking. It's such a turn on when a guy just knows how to show up. You've just taken a basic moment and turned it into emotional currency. Now he feels seen, not just for what he did, but for who he was being in that moment. It's subtle, but it works because it's sincere. And this is key, don't fake it. Don't say it if you don't mean it. The moment it becomes performance, it loses its power. But when it comes from an honest place, from genuinely observing the way he shows up and reflecting that back to him, it becomes one of the most emotionally intimate things you can do. Because now, instead of just being someone he's interested in, you've become someone he feels connected to. And connection is what makes people invest. And here's the beautiful part. This doesn't just make him chase you. It makes him want to show up better. A man who feels like a hero around you will keep striving to be that version of himself. That's the kind of dynamic that inspires real growth, real commitment, real depth. So don't be afraid to speak to his strength, to recognize what's good, to let him know with just a few intentional words that he brings something to your life that no one else does. That's what turns attraction into devotion. Let's talk about something that most people overlook completely when it comes to attraction. And that's the power of subtlety. We live in a world where people are constantly told to be bold, to make a statement, to speak their truth loudly and clearly. And don't get me wrong, there's a time for that. But in the world of romantic connection, especially early on, what creates fascination isn't always about how much you say. Sometimes it's about what you don't say. You see, one of the most magnetic things you can bring to a dynamic is mystery. That doesn't mean playing games or withholding who you are. It means allowing space for someone to wonder about you. When you leave space in a conversation, when you say something with a little bit of restraint, when you let someone ask the next question instead of handing over your life story, that's what keeps people leaning in. Think about it. What makes a good book or a great movie? It's not that everything is revealed in the first 5 minutes. It's that we're drawn into the unfolding, the pacing, the layers. It's the same with you. If you reveal everything about yourself in the first few conversations, your fears, your past, your deepest desires, every thought you've had since breakfast, you rob someone of the joy of discovery. You take away the chase. And the chase isn't about games. It's about curiosity. It's about emotional investment being built over time. Now, here's where it gets interesting. You can be emotionally available, even warm and vulnerable, and still be subtle. In fact, subtlety often makes those moments even more powerful. Let's say a man asks you something like, "Why did your last relationship end?" Most people feel this urge to pour it all out. Well, we were together for 3 years, and it started great, but then things went wrong, and he stopped communicating. And now you're 10 minutes deep into a monologue that leaves nothing to the imagination. What's more powerful? Saying something like, "We cared a lot about each other, but in the end, we just wanted different things. I learned a lot from it, though." That's all. It's honest. It's composed, and it leaves just enough space for him to ask more if he's interested. Or not. Either way, you're showing that you're open, but not oversharing. That's what makes someone curious. That's what makes them want to earn more of your story. And this applies not just to what you say, but how you say it. Sometimes the smallest things can hold the most weight when you say them with intention. A gentle pause before you respond. A soft smile instead of filling silence with nervous chatter. A comment that hints at something deeper without spelling it out. Like saying, "I'm a bit of a romantic. I think I just enjoy the build up more than the destination." You haven't said much, but now his mind is turning. He's wondering what you mean. He's drawn in. Here's what's really happening when you speak this way. You're creating a kind of emotional gravity. You're not grabbing attention. You're pulling it. There's a huge difference. Grabbing attention is exhausting. It means constantly proving, performing, talking more, doing more. Pulling attention means simply being rooted in who you are and allowing your presence to do the work. And people feel that. When someone doesn't feel the need to fill every moment with noise, it shows confidence. It says, "I'm comfortable being me. I'm not rushing to prove anything." And that energy, that's addictive. Because most people aren't used to it. They're used to others overselling, over-explaining, overextending. So when you come along and you speak just enough, with calm and ease and depth, it stops someone in their tracks. Subtlety also means understanding that not every feeling has to be explained. Not every moment needs commentary. There's a beauty in letting things breathe, in allowing silence to do its job. Because in those moments, people actually feel more. They lean into the quiet. They notice the energy. That's when connection starts happening beneath the surface. One of the most powerful things I've seen is when someone says something really simple, like, "That surprised me," or "I wasn't expecting that." And then they leave it there. Not everything needs to be wrapped up in a bow. Sometimes the unfinished thought is what makes someone pay attention. And when they're paying attention, they're investing. That's where the chase lies. In the not quite knowing. In the sense that there's still more to uncover. So the next time you're tempted to fill space, to rush in with more words, to explain every little thing, pause. Ask yourself, do I really need to say this right now? Or is this a moment where silence might actually say more? Let your presence speak. Let your energy do the talking. Let the mystery work for you. Because in a world that's constantly shouting, whispering gets you heard. One of the most underrated skills in attraction and in building a relationship that actually lasts is learning how to make someone feel like they're winning with you. Not by pretending they're perfect, not by lowering your standards or playing small, but by showing in a very real and subtle way that their effort matters, that they're making an impact, that they're getting it right. Here's the truth. Everyone wants to feel like they're ever winning at something. Men especially want to feel like they're winning in the game of winning, that they're doing a good job, that their effort is seen and appreciated, not just in a polite way, but in a way that makes them feel like they're standing out. And this doesn't happen when you're trying to be overly cool or indifferent. It happens when you find the balance between holding your standard and acknowledging when someone meets it. That balance is everything. Because if your bar is too low, if you give away your time, your energy, your affection, or even your body without him having to do much, there's no challenge. And a person who doesn't have to earn your interest won't value it for long. But on the flip side, if you never show any warmth, if you constantly play hard to get or act unimpressed, even when he's genuinely trying, you become exhausting. People don't chase what makes them feel like they're failing all the time. No one sticks around just to feel like they're not enough. So instead, you learn to say the things that reflect both your standards and your capacity to feel impressed. Because the most magnetic thing in the world is someone who's hard to impress, but easy to deeply affect when the right person shows up. That's what makes you feel rare. That's what creates the sense of, wait, she doesn't open up to just anyone, but I think I'm breaking through. Here's a simple phrase that captures this energy. I don't open up easily, but something about you makes me want to. Do you hear what that does? It tells him that you're selective, that you have emotional boundaries, but also that he's doing something right, that his presence, his energy is different. That's the kind of statement that makes someone feel seen. And when people feel like they're earning a part of you, they value it more, they chase it. Another one, most people don't get that side of me. That's powerful. You're not saying he's earned your trust completely. You're not rushing into anything. But you are showing that he's accessing something real in you. That makes him want to protect it, nurture it, and keep earning more of it. That's what keeps the dynamic alive. That's what makes him feel emotionally successful with you. And that's what makes you irresistible. And you don't have to be dramatic or manipulative about this. It's not about acting like you're on some pedestal. It's about knowing your worth so deeply that you can give compliments without feeling like you're giving away power. You can say, I love how you handled that. It's sexy when a man knows how to take the lead like that. And you're not saying it to flatter. You're saying it because it's true. Because you're actually observing and rewarding something that aligns with your values. Here's the thing, when you start to speak this way, you reinforce a message that's so rare in dating today. You're saying, I'm not impressed by noise, but I notice real effort. I don't need to be entertained, but I do pay attention to how I feel around you. And if you're making me feel something real, I'm not afraid to say it. That kind of honesty, that kind of calibration, it's incredibly attractive because it makes someone feel like you're both emotionally intelligent and emotionally available. You're not just another person in their life who's trying to play a role or win a game. You're someone they can feel emotionally successful with. Someone who brings out their best and makes them feel like being their best actually matters. And maybe that's the most powerful dynamic of all. When two people feel like they're each bringing something to the table that the other values deeply. When he feels like being strong, thoughtful, present, generous, is working with you. That's when he keeps showing up that way. Not because he has to, but because he wants to. Because it feels good. Because it's fulfilling. And because he sees that you're the kind of woman who doesn't just take what she's given. You reflect it back in a way that makes him want to give even more. That's how you make him feel like he's winning, without losing yourself. One of the most powerful moments in any interaction is the one right before it ends. That final moment has the ability to leave a lasting impression, far beyond anything you said earlier. And if you know how to use it well, that moment can be the reason he finds himself thinking about you long after you've walked away. Checking his phone, replaying your words in his head, wondering when he's going to see you again. That moment is your cliffhanger. We underestimate the impact of leaving someone wanting more. So many people, when they feel connection or chemistry, try to prolong it, to hold on, to stretch the moment out. They stay too long, they over-explain, they reveal too much too quickly, and in doing that, they take all the mystery out of it. They remove the tension. And when there's no tension, there's no spark. But when you learn to end the moment on a high, when the energy is still vibrant, when there's still more to say, more to explore, you create that irresistible sense of unfinished business. That's what gets people hooked. That's what makes someone chase. Not because you're playing hard to get, but because you're leaving space for their desire to grow. Think about it. The shows you binge watch aren't the ones that tie everything up neatly in every episode. They're the ones that drop one last twist, one last unanswered question, one last emotionally loaded look right before the screen goes black. And you're left saying, wet. What happens next? That same principle applies here. When you leave a conversation or a date with a little intrigue, a little tension, or even just a feeling that you could have kept talking for hours, that's what makes him want to come back. That's what makes you feel rare. And it doesn't have to be theatrical. It's not about playing games or creating drama. It can be incredibly simple. Sometimes it's in a line like, "You're trouble, but I kind of like it." Or, I feel like we've barely scratched the surface. Or even just ending with a knowing smile and, "Well, I should go. This was fun." You're closing the moment with warmth, but also with a little fire. You're leaving the door open, but you're not walking him through it. That's what gives your words weight. And the best part is, when you do this, you're giving him a reason to pursue. Not because you're holding back affection, but because you're showing that your time and presence are valuable, that you don't give all of yourself away too quickly, that even when things are going well, you're still someone who knows when to leave the party a little early. That creates impact. That's what makes you unforgettable. There's a line I love to use because it's subtle, but incredibly effective. It's when the energy is flowing, there's a vibe, and I just say, "You're fun, but I feel like I shouldn't get used to you yet." It sounds playful, but it creates a challenge. It plants a thought in his head. Why not? It creates emotional tension, and where there's tension, there's intrigue. That intrigue leads to action. That's what keeps the momentum going. And this works especially well when you've already built emotional connection throughout the conversation. If you've spoken with appreciation, sparked vision, and triggered that deeper instinct to step up for you. Then, when you end the moment powerfully, without dragging it out, you're sealing it in his memory. You're not just someone he had a nice conversation with. You're someone he's now invested in, someone he wants to keep unfolding, someone who left before he could fully grasp the experience of you. And here's the important part. Doing this well requires you to trust your value. You can't fake this. You have to believe that you are worth missing. That walking away doesn't reduce your chance at connection. It amplifies it. That your silence your exit, your mystery, all speak as loudly as your words. So next time you're in one of those moments, whether it's the end of a phone call, a coffee date, a conversation on the street, resist the urge to overstay. End on a high. Leave him smiling, curious, wanting just one more minute with you. Let him feel the gap between where things ended and where they could have gone. That gap is where desire lives. That's what keeps him coming back. Always leave a little magic in the air.